This is Chester with the Sampleist, and our sonic journey today is Spitfire Audio's new Chamber Strings Essentials. Before we dive in, I'd like to make it crystal clear that the copy of this library that we're reviewing was graciously provided to us by the developer. However, let me assure you that our commitment to delivering honest and transparent reviews remains unwavering. Our goal is to arm you with all the information you need to decide if this library deserves a spot in your musical toolkit. So the word chamber in music refers to any ensemble smaller than a symphony orchestra, ranging from a quartet to around 40 players. Spitfire Audio set out to create the definitive chamber strings project, promising that highly sought-after widescreen blockbuster sound, all while maintaining detail, intimacy, and focus. Keep in mind that when this library originally came out, all the string libraries were big, massive ensembles and sounds. It was very difficult to find that small ensemble string library that was going to do the job for chamber or small string ensemble parts. To successfully accomplish this product market fit at that time, Spitfire Audio assembled an ensemble consisting of 4 first violins, 3 second violins, 3 violas, 3 celli, and 3 bass players. In case you're like me and not great at math, I'm awful at it. That's a total of 16 world-class London string players at your fingertips. In my research, I saw 2 different Kontakt versions for compatibility, so I'm going to read them both out. I saw on the site and in the user manual they had different versions. We have 5, 6, 8 or higher, and then I saw 6, 5, 3 or higher. So I might double check with Spitfire Audio on what version they're going after. They're going to be the experts there. Just reading what I was looking at. Also, Kontakt Player is included if you want the free version for this library, in case you don't have that full version of Kontakt, so that's awesome for those folks who need it. And then the library is roughly 28 gigabytes of hard drive space, and it is NKS compatible. Okay, now let's explore the UI. So once you have Chamber Strings Essentials installed, you now have access to A through F here in Kontakt. So we'll open up Violins 1 and we'll start there. And this is fantastic. If you've ever owned some Spitfire libraries before, they do give you everything you need to be successful here in a string library. So we have here, typically a bubble will pop up and it'll explain everything to you, and then you can use this close. And I suggest say don't ever show things again, but they're always there for you if you ever need them. It's the eye everywhere. But as it starts, you have here all your articulations that you can choose. There also is key switches. We'll talk about those in a second. You have an easy mix. And what happens here with the easy mix is as you hold a note, as you hold it far, it's going to use the mic position that's going to bring it farther from your ear. And then as you bring it in, it's going to use the other mic position that's closer to your ear, and it's just going to bring the music in more. Now, the thing about the mic positions is once you turn one on or off, it does kind of kill the note. And that's because it's working the memory and getting samples in and out. So you're not going to usually do that when you're recording your take. You'll kind of lose the music there, but that's just a small thing. You'll get used to it. We all do. Dynamics and expression, those are pretty vital. You have CC1, CC11, and then dynamics is also your mod wheel typically with the Spitfire library. And that all appears to be true here, which is great. Another really great option is vibrato. You can control the intensity of it. So you can bring this in and make a very expressive passage, and you can wind it down to make like a nice cold, thin one. Not a lot of movement to it, just the note. And you can bring that in and out, and you can control that as you wish. And so that's another great CC to add. Let me just go ahead and assign it now to CC2. And now I can control that from my controller. Along with kind of everything else, and give it a little more some time and do some fun with that. Speed works with legato, so it controls the legato interval speed that you're moving between. We are in legato right now. So if, for example, if I press this G and then I go to this D, that's what speed is. Speed is the legato between the notes. So that's a handy feature that for me, commonly I do a set and forget, so I don't typically assign this, but there will definitely be uses when you might. All right, now this is my favorite view. We go in and we kind of see a little more. Here's the close and tree. This is when we set it here. This is the result. Tree works for me a majority percent of the time, and I love starting with just the tree mic, especially with strings, but we'll talk about that as we go. A few other things here. You can set your velocity in several ways here. Linear just usually works most of the time. You can also do some width and some panning on your mics. That can come in handy if you need the extra details. A lot of the times this tree mic just kind of works really well as is. Here's some options for you if you need some help with memory and just optimizing some things. I use laptop on my laptop a ton. You can transpose some notes, do some advanced kind of purging in CC and things like that. You also get some awesome functionality with your round robins if you so need them. And then controller, there's a few more here. Release and tightness, those are around short notes, like staccato and things like that. You can set the release of those short notes or the tightness of them. A lot of the times these are also set it and forget it, but you might find yourselves maybe using those a bit. And then speaking of the short notes, how I kind of look at these mic positions is all... See those long including him in tremolo. So I'll see those long articulations and I'll usually keep the tree, and then what I'll do, especially with tremolo, you start bringing this close mic. And as you bring it in, you listen for it, and you're going to get more attention to detail, which is really helpful for you and for your mixing and in your composition. So the tree usually will take the top, and then I'll just start blending in this close mic to how I think it sounds good. A lot of the times I'll actually turn this up to unity, which is 0 or more. It is a Spitfire audio library, so usually +6 will be just fine. And as you can see, we're at half. I mean, we are not going to worry about getting in the red with that. Now that we have all this mixed, it's sounding pretty good. Let's see what that sounds like with a short note. I kind of like to do the opposite sometimes. If it sounds right, I'll start with the close mic and then I'll bring in the tree. And then that might be too much room sometime, and then you just bring it down a little more, and then you find your that blend that works really well for you. Alternatively, you just use this easy mix and you can get the same results. I tend to like to use this not only visually, but it helps me just focus on one mic and just leaving the other one where it is. These trills are pretty fun. And the only thing that I have with these trills is love the tree in the room that we get. But I feel like I do lose a little definition with the tree, and sometimes I have experienced a reverb setting here. So having that ability to turn the reverb down and get less room on something like these trills would help me out a little bit. And I think I agree with Paul Thompson. He mentioned that one of his favorite patches of Chamber Essentials is Spiccato, and it is one of the best. It is short, simple, sweet to the point, and you can write a lot of ostinatos with those. I do favor the pizzicato a little more in this library too. The harmonics are fantastic as well. And we get the trills and tremolos. We also get dynamics, vibrato, speed, expression. There's so much consistency with this library. Now we'll move to the celli. Also, I think we had 3 here. Let's see if I can dial in something different, but no, it's all the same. So we have the same things here. All right, so with cello, we have, again, legato, long, piccato, staccato, pizz, kind of all the same things we had before, just with lower notes. Apologies for not keep turning it up to 6 when I'm doing this. Get started a point. Sorry for moving the UI there. That quietness. And so you just want to turn that up a little bit. Basses. Turn it up again. Here we go. Yeah, no, I mean, the bite that you get from that sound is amazing, and it will blend well in most any situation where it can layer in with others. To hear another favorite of mine with Spitfire is to hear the performance part in the room along with the notes. I think is very useful in a lot of ways. Not all of us and not all the time are we going to want to hear that sound, but it gives a realism that you don't really find in other libraries. And I always try to make that come out whenever I'm mixing or working on these parts. Those trills are a lot of fun in the bass. I mean, there's just some uneasiness in this. Just fantastic. Now we're going to the ensembles, and this is a great patch to just throw in your template and get started on because you're getting all the string players at your fingertips just right away. and you're going, you're running with your ideas. That's how special this patch can be in your template. Right when you load up your DAW, you can get running and you can get really great results right off the bat. So here's a slightly different because we do lose legato, and that's okay. I mean, this is a whole ensemble, so it makes sense. We have long, spiccato, staccato, pizzicato. Fun there. And then vibrato really helps here because you're having all the instruments now kind of perform. So you're going to really use this to kind of help control that vibrato and that movement as they're playing the notes. Dynamics expression, of course, always a must. And then you can set everything here. It's all the same. So that's what's really nice about this library is that it's very consistent between patches. So whatever you've gotten in violins 1, you're going to see ensembles. You're going to see in viola. You're going to see in cello. And you can just load it up, get started, and know where everything is. It's fantastic. And that's the UI. So next steps here, let's go into the composition. All right, let's talk about the piece. First thing I'm going to explain is I did not actually go with E minor. I switched to E Dorian kind of in mid-flight. I've been writing a lot of minor lately and just felt like going a different direction. So disregard that and disregard my spelling of elegance. Apparently I forgot how to spell that word too. Well, it's about the music, right? Not about our slate mishaps there. I really wanted to do a lot with this piece in light of time and in light of receiving the library when I did. I decided, you know what, let's just make this all about the library and the options you can, because I tend to agree with Spitfire Audio when they throw us their marketing messages. And I tend to feel those strengths and I use those strengths to my advantage whenever I open up a Spitfire library. So the advantage with this one that I uncovered is the intimacy and the focus it can provide in a chamber feel. Case in point, let's just go to this ensemble. let's never mind the harmonic content here. We got quite a few chords, and in relation to that and all the other notes, we're playing a real thick layer of strings here. Now, I could pull several string libraries out of the box right now and get that same huge sound with pressing 1 or 2 keys on the keyboard. I have to really throw in some notes here to get a real full, rich sound, and that's awesome. And that's because when you pull one of these instruments alone, let's grab violin 2 here. And so on and so forth. So would we say the violin 2 was 3 players? That's the ensemble there for them alone. So it's very, focused and intimate when you hear just that part alone. And then you start adding parts. Now let's go here and let's just add violin 1. Violin 1 is playing real high, so they're going to be very aggressive and take your ear, the attention of your ear. But you can still hear the subtleness of violin 2. So that's in context. Now we'll go violin 2 again. Now we're going to play violas. You'll get a much different experience. Apologies if my computer's cracking a little bit. It is no fault of the library or anything. I think it's OBS and some other things going on. So the point there is the intimacy of just those 2 alone. I mean, that's 6 players total, and you're hearing kind of everything that's going on very easily between the 2. It's distinct. If I put in a bigger string library right now, it would be, it could be like 10 players each, and then we're at 20, and it gets thick real fast, and you're not going to hear the attention to detail like you are with this library. That's the point that I was kind of making with this piece, is that you can go this way where you use the ensemble patch, which I started with this patch. Everything you see here is kind of copy and pasted from, I made a chord progression here and then just kind of slid things in and then moved things around. I think if I start moving, see, I did all that. Now where would that be? I think it was right there. And then this way, I think there's more chord progression there. So that's kind of what I did with the song. Now, I would also suggest, if you have the ability to, a lot of these settings can be MIDI CC'd, and you should use that to your advantage. Vibrato is a very strong feature in this library. Dynamics and expression, if you can put that to a MIDI controller, either knobs or faders, definitely suggest doing that. Vibrato would be the third one. But dynamics and expression, those are vital to have at your fingertips, and perform those when you're working with your string parts or other instruments that you have going on. Another couple that I like to add to knobs or faders are these mic positions, especially with 2, and I think that's our advantage with Essentials here. A lot of the times we think, oh, well, you're packaging, everything, you're taking away everything and you're giving me, less value. That is not the case here. They're giving you the most important pieces of the library and just saying, hey, maybe you don't want the extra. And that is what you want in any type of company making products. They're telling you, well, hey, we actually looked at this product and we said, this is the most value, and now we're just going to sell it for less. So here you go. That's awesome. So they give you 2 mic positions, and quite frankly, these are the 2 most common mic positions I will ever mess with in a Spitfire library, and that is tree and close mic. So in this case right here with the Ensemble, I felt the tree, and the tree is something that I will have all the way up 90%, probably just say 90% of the time, could be 95% of the time. The tree mic is the mic. That's the sweet mic of Spitfire audio. Yeah, that thing is almost always being used whenever I'm actually making a song. The close mic, what's so special about it is if you need more attention to detail in the instrument or in what you're using when it comes to Spitfire anyways, and this might be actually the case for a lot of other libraries too, to be quite honest, you start bringing this in and then you start getting that detail that you need. And you blend this and you get these 2 together and you can blend it into something really special. So that's why I have them down here assigned, because I will play something and I will start making a little microphone mix. And I'll set it and I'll be like, that's it. And then I'll keep moving on and I'll kind of leave it until I switch articulations. That's the one thing about Spitfire also is they have, when I move to shorter notes, I find, so these, oh, it didn't move with me. Am I on the right? There it is. I might take the tree out and add more close. Shorter notes just sound better with the close mic. More of it than the tree. The tree then is now the blend. With long notes, it becomes the opposite. The close kind of comes in and the tree becomes more the prominent mic. And then I have vibrato here. And in the case of the short notes, I'd probably turn it down a bit, and then articulation when it's long notes. If I want that icy chill feel, take it out. And if I want a more expressive feel, bring it in. And there you go. That's, quite frankly, a majority of Spitfire libraries work that way with strings. If you're having that much at your fingertips, you can get a long, long way. And then release and tightness, those are always to taste on short notes. You'll find yourself using those then. And that's what they give you. I mean, and quite frankly, that's all you really need. A few articulations, and they give you the most common ones that you'll use a majority of the time. And that ability to set the 2 mic positions, and then you have these controls. One control that I would say that I miss here, and only just because I do appreciate it when it's available in a Spitfire library, is reverb. I've pulled in my own reverb here, and I'm fine with that. And I think a majority of producers would be. I gotta say the Spitfire reverbs are pretty awesome and they do help. And there is quite a bit of room here. And I mean, it's the room. If you want a room, they recorded it, these string players in the room that you want, but it's still a little tough to kind of manage that room. And only slightly, it's just something I noticed when I was working in this, where sometimes I was like, well, what about how does this sound without room? And couldn't quite achieve it. So that would have been my only other thing. But otherwise, yeah, that's kind of how this piece was written. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's time to wrap up our journey with some final reflections. So after spending some quality time with Chamber Strings Essentials, I'm thoroughly impressed with the bare bones offerings it comes with. Now providing 3 editions of this library means there's going to be something for everyone. With the Essentials edition that we explored today, this gives us exactly what we need most of the time for string parts and arranging, making it a fantastic starting point for composers of all levels. In conclusion, this library is still the gem it's always been for any composer looking to add rich and evocative chamber string parts for their compositions. With its range of techniques, quality, and compatibility being a Spitfire audio product in the Kontakt player, it's a must-have in your toolkit if you haven't already got something like this in your library today. This is one of those libraries that will find itself in your templates, most and or all of them, and be that go-to string library you start with to generate the ideas you need for your music fast. I've already blocked time on my calendar here to get it into whatever templates I can to fill some gaps I have within my collection. It's everything anyone has ever told me it was, a true workhorse library for all. This is Chester, signing off from the Sampleist, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you're hungry for more insightful reviews, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned with all things the Sampleist. Until our paths cross again, keep having fun making your music. Cheers.